Anyone remembers 9.6? Am I on?
Yes, we're live.
Sound?
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Just give me a thumbs up if I'm audible. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshuran Militam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Vashatai Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome you all for today morning reading from Bhagavad Gita. If I am correct, we are on the 9th chapter, verse number 5 onwards. We have to read. Today is Tuesday morning. We are meeting after 3 days. On Saturday, the moment we started the discussion, the light went off here. And since then, something's happening. The other day, today, there was no water in the morning, so that's leading to confusion. Anyways, so we begin with, you have the Veda base? Okay. Nachamastani bhutani pashyame yogameshwaram bhuta brahnacha bhutastau mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Hare Krishna. Prabhu? Purport. The Lord says that everything is resting on Him. Mat sthani sarva bhutani. Every living entity is resting, which means He is the shelter of every living entity. Prabhupada says this should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired, holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that all the everything resting on him is aloof. The planetary systems are floating in space. In this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord, but he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, the Lord says, although they are situated on my inconceivable energy as a Supreme Personality Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is inconceivable opulence of the Lord. In other words, it is not the Lord who carries the burden of this creation, it is His energies. He functions through a delegated authority. Therefore, Lord expands Himself in Vishnu avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodaya Vishnu, and Kshirodaya Vishnu. And then same Garbhodaya Vishnu gives birth to Brahmaji, who has to take care of secondary creation. Sankarshan, from whom Mahavishnu has appeared, also explains himself as Adi Shiva or Shiva, Lord Shiva. And the function of Lord Shiva for this creation is of destruction. Like that, Lord expands and manages all this universal affair. But nonetheless, everything is on Him because everything is ultimately provided by Him, created by Him, maintained by Him, and destroyed by Him. In the Nirukati Vedic dictionary, it is said, Yujyate Anina Durgateshu Karyeshu. The Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastime, displaying His energy, His person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself actual fact. In this way, the personality Godhead is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explains this fact. Although he is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire material manifestation, he does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. There is no difference between his mind and himself, as there is difference between ourselves and our present material mind. Because he is absolute spirit, simultaneously the Lord is present in everything. Yet the common man cannot understand how he is also present personally. He is different from this material manifestation, yet everything is resting on him. This is explained here as Yogam Ashwaram. That is the opulence. That is the mystic opulence of the Supreme Personality Godhead. Very fantastic verse. Once again, Na chamasthani bhutani pashyame yogam ashwaram. Masthani bhutani, everyone is resting on me. Pashyame yogam ashwaram. Just see my mystic opulences. Bhuta varan, I am the maintainer. Na cha bhutasto, yet I am not in this cosmic manifestation. Sto means sthitit. Mama atma bhuta bhavana. Mama atma, I am the source, bhuta bhavanaha, of this whole manifestation. Just a comment here. Oftentimes this question is raised. The Sanatanis, they fight among themselves, because of which the situation of our great nation, or let's say the great culture, had been what it is now. There are so many disparities, confusion. There are so many people of different pantha declare themselves to Sanatani, and one pantha would pull the leg of another pantha, right? What you can see is happening in the recent news also about certain aspects of it. Now, why there is so much difference of opinion? It's just because everyone is not able to come to a common conclusion about the nature of absolute truth. Yogam Ashwaram. So some people consider this absolute truth, everyone among Sanatani. Who are Sanatani? Who accepts absolute truth. Simple. Now, what's the disparity, difference of opinion? Some say that this absolute truth is formless. Others say, and they say we should surrender to this formless. Others say the absolute truth is formless, and after death we merge into this absolute truth. Some say, no, yes, absolute truth is Brahman, but more than that, he is also residing in our heart as Paramatma. So those who say absolute truth is Brahman and we merge into him do not accept the concept of Paramatma. Others say, no, absolute truth is yes, is Brahman, but more than that, he is Paramatma residing in the heart of every living entity. And some say, or I should say few say, or maybe today many say by the grace of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, that yes, the absolute truth is Brahman, absolute truth is residing in my heart as Paramatma, and absolute truth is person. Now, these different pantha, because of different understanding about the Aishwarya of the Lord, they keep pulling leg of each other. That is why there is a disparity and confusion. Text number 6. Yathakash sthito nityam vayu sarvatra gomahan tata sarvani bhutani masthani ti upadharaya. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. Lord Shri Krishna gives an example. The sky is not, the wind is not independent of the sky. So who is the shelter of the wind? It is the sky. Who is the shelter of this, all this cosmic manifestation or different entities, not manifestation, cosmic entities like planets, stars, whatnot, is the sky. Now, purport. For the ordinary person, it is almost inconceivable how the huge material creation is resting in him. But the Lord is giving an example which may help us to understand. The sky may be the biggest manifestation we can conceive. Yes, sky is unlimited, limitless. You look up, there is no beginning, no end. And in the sky, the wind or air is the biggest manifestation in the cosmic world. The movement of the air influences the movements of everything. But although the wind is great, it is still situated within the sky. The wind is not beyond the sky. Similarly, all the wonderful cosmic manifestations are existing with the supreme will of the Lord. All of them are subordinate to that supreme will. What a fantastic example. The wind is mighty, but it is not independent of sky. Sky is nonetheless shelter of the wind. The planets are mighty. The sun, the moon, the planet Earth, the Mars, the Jupiter, they're huge, tremendous planets, and they have tremendous source of energy. But that is also not independent of the supreme will. So who is maintaining all these cosmic entities in their respective location? Who's ensuring that they provide the basic necessities is a Supreme Lord. That is how it's happening. And that's what Prabhupada giving an example here. Krishna had quoted and Prabhupada explaining that. Thus everything is moving under his will. By his will, everything is being created, which means the wind is not independent of the sky. For example, we are on this planet Earth. We have a certain atmosphere, but beyond we cross the stratosphere, as I say, different ozone layers, right? We call it. When they cross it, the functions of the movements of the wind will be different. It has to do ultimately with the sky, and of course, the different cosmic entities that we have. Similarly, everything that's happening here, we may not see the limitless, inconceivable Lord, but everything is happening under His will. It's not we are acting independently. That doesn't happen like that. Similarly, the planets are not moving independently. This everything is moving under His will. By His will, everything is being created, everything is being maintained, everything is being annihilated. Still, He is aloof from everything, as the sky is aloof from the activities of the wind. Just like sky is like in the background of everything. Whenever you look up, you'll always see sky at the background of everything. What is happening? The sky rises up, or the sun rises up. You see all the stars. You see everything. But what is at the backdrop of everything? The sky. We can see it, therefore we believe it. But if you could not see, you will not say there is a sky. But the Lord's potency is He's there, all pervading like the sky, holding everything, controlling everything. But it is also not possible to our eyes. In the Upanishad it is stated, Yadabhisha Vata Pavati. It is out of the fear of the Supreme Lord that the wind is blowing. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad it is stated, by the Supreme Lord and the superintendence of the Supreme Personality Godhead, the moon, the sun, and the other great planets are moving. In the Brahma Samhita it is said, Yachakshuri Sasavita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramuti Rashesha Teja Yasyagnya Brahmati Sambrata Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusha Tamaham Bhajami. This is a description of the movement of the sun. It is said that the sun is considered to be one of the eyes of the Supreme Lord. It has immense potency to diffuse heat and light. Still, it is moving in its prescribed orbit by the order and the supreme will of Govinda. So from the Vedic literature, we can find evidence that this material manifestation, which appears to us to be very wonderful and great, is under the complete control of the Supreme Personality Godhead. This will be further explained in the later verses of this chapter. For example, when the flight takes off from Pune and it lands on the Bombay airport or Delhi airport, did it happen on its own? Or there was a controller who ensured the flight lands in Bombay or Delhi airport? Yes. You have the traffic control, ATC, what you call it, the ground staff, and then you have the flight staff, then you have the pilot himself. Then there is a whole management committee that decides what would be the trip, yes or no, which means the flight carrying passengers is not that you enter the flight and the flight takes you anywhere. The flight decides, okay, aaj Delhi jayenge, kal Calcutta jayenge. It doesn't happen like that. The point raised is, if anything in this creation, you sit in a train, it has a predefined destination. You say route. Let's say Duronto Express between Pune to Delhi is going to move on the same route. It is predefined, defined by somebody. So the sun, the movement of the sun, every morning sun rises, every evening sun sets. You can say its trajectory is predefined, its route is predefined. It rises in this part of the world at certain time, and then at a certain time of the day it sets. And then it rises in another part of the world, which means the trajectory, the route is predefined. It's not that sun appears today, sun does not appear today. For example, let's talk about us. Now, there is a predefined office hours for all of you, right? When you go to office. But unless there is a pressure from the office and compulsion, how many of you agree? You may go someday to office, you may not go someday to office, yes or no? If it is left onto your will, to decide to go to office or not. It's 200% possible that you may go 1 day or 2 days, and then third day you may think, "Aaj nahi jate." So my question is, as we are discussing here, why sun doesn't take off? Why sudden the sun doesn't disappear at all? Why sun has to? Can you imagine? It's on the clock. Just like you go every day to the office 9 o'clock in the evening and come back at 7 o'clock. Similarly, sun is always on the clock, and according to the movement of the sun, our clock is defined. By the way, there's no meaning of time if there's no sun. Every morning the sun rises, every evening sun sets. Can this happen sporadically, randomly? That is the point being discussed here. No, it is not possible. So who is, when I read about this point, Prabhupada says, still it is moving in its prescribed orbit by the order and supreme will of Govinda. The orbit of sun, as Vedic cosmology defines, that orbit was coming to my mind. Who defines that orbit? Right now we are Uttarayan. Every year there is Uttarayan, where the direction of the sun changes. Now the sun is going to have a northern trajectory. And there will be a Dakshinayana, when the sun is going to move towards the southern hemisphere, southern trajectory. If not only day-wise, you see yearly, every 6 months, the sun changes the trajectory. Northern to southern, southern to northern, northern to southern, southern to northern. It's almost like a Duronto Express goes from Pune to Delhi, then Delhi to Pune. The same train comes back. Similarly, the sun. So when just like any flight which goes from here to Delhi, Delhi to Pune, who defines the trajectory for the sun? Who has marked its path? This is what you're going to do it. This is your time. This is your schedule. That is the Supreme Lord. Text number 7. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpasya punastani kalpado visrajamiham. O son of Kunti, at the end of millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So Prabhupada says, what is the meaning of millennium? Here Krishna is indicating after the death of Brahma. After the death of Brahma, the whole creation enters into the body of Mahavishnu, including the living entities and all the matter. The creation, maintenance, and elevation of this material cosmic manifestation are completely dependent on the supreme will. So that is what being described here about Brahmaji's thing. We have read in the 8th chapter, so I'm not going again here. Like this. Text number 8. Prakatim swam avasthapya vasrajami punah punah bhutagramam imam krishnam avasham prakrate vasa. Prakatim swam avasthabhya. Prakatim swam avasthabhya. Avastha mein. Entering into it. Visrajami punah. Visarjan karna. Visrajami, to create. Punah, again and again. Bhutagramam, which means the whole creation. Imam Krishnam. Krishna means in totality. Avasham prakriti vashan. Prakriti, avasham. This whole creation happens automatically. Krishna is saying there's a time when creation is created, maintained, and destroyed. And the tenure is given as 311 trillion years and 40 billion years. How it is done? It is done by Prakriti Vashat. Vashat means Vashme, under control. So Vashat is under obligation. So Prakriti working under my dictation, direction, causes this appearance and disappearance of this creation automatically. That's the mind. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under me will it, under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. Under my will, it is created. Under my will, it is annihilated. Srila Prabhupada would often give an example of, let's say, a cardboard house. बचपन में गेम खेला करते थे, cardboard house होते थे. So the child, by his own will create a house out of that cardboard or the pack of cards, and by his will, it will unpack it. Yes, that is what the creation is. That's what is happening. And we are so much caught up because of all these temporary things. Material world is a manifestation of the infinite energy of the Supreme Personality Godhead. This has already been explained several times, that the creation of this material energy is let loose as the Mahatattva, into which the Lord, as his first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, enters. He lies in the causal ocean, breathes out innumerable universes, and in each universe the Lord again enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Each universe is in that way created. He still further manifests himself as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. And that Vishnu enters into everything, even into the minute atom. This fact is explained here. He enters into everything. Now, as far as the living entities are concerned, they are impregnated into this material nature. Aham bija prataha pitaha. Future chapter will talk about. And as a result of the past deeds, they take different positions. Thus, the activities of this material world begin. The activities of the different species of living beings are begun from the very moment of the creation. It is not that all is evolved. The different species of life are created immediately along with the universes. Man, animal, beast, birds, everything is simultaneously created because whatever desires the living entity had at the last inhalation are again manifested. So, how is the creation is happening? Brahmaji has come. Brahmaji has been empowered with the knowledge to do the secondary creation, which means Brahmaji causes different bodies to manifest. From him appears Manu and Satrupa, Swambhu Manu and Satrupa, and they combine together, the first man and woman in this creation. They combine together to produce progeny. They had a son like Uttanapat, Priyavrat, Devhuti, Akuti, Prasuti, right? These are the daughters, 2 sons and 3 daughters. And from there, all the progenitors have come, all the creation have happened. So what Prabhupada is saying here, so when the living entity comes into this world and is injected into different bodies, it is not that the living entities at different time in the creation, the bodies are getting evolved as the science represents. The bodies are not getting evolved. These desires were there because this is everyday creation. Every time creation is created. So these living entities come, and in this system, in our universe, 8.4 million species is set order. Let me give an example. Let's say pan wala dukan. Have you seen pan wala dukan? Sadak ke kinare pe hota hai. When this guy winds up his shop, what he does, outside his shop, he puts a lot of things on display. Pan ke sachet pade rehte hain, toffee ke boxes pade rehte hain outside the shop, right? It's for display. Let's say a chai corner for that. So when he decides to close, what he does, he wraps everything, अपना अंदर लेकर आता है, सब कुछ बंद करता है, चेयर हटाता है, टेबल हटाता है, सब पीछे रखता है, जितना भी डिस्प्ले पे था उसको वाइंड अप करता है, उसको बंद करके चला जाता है, he goes away. That is called night. He comes back in the morning. Now when he comes back in the morning, does he really need to reinvent the wheel? When he comes, when he opens the shop, he knows where to keep the chair, he knows where to keep the table, he knows where to hang the sachet, which sachet to hang where. Is everything decided? That is how the creation is happening. To say, first the sachet came, then that came, then that came, then चाय का डिब्बा आया, फिर चाय उबली, फिर चाय बनी, फिर ग्राहक का जन्म हुआ, फिर चेयर आई, फिर टेबल आई, फिर, you get it? This is what these modern science says. No, this is how the creation is. The creation and the one of the time is happening like this, which is happening forever, which is happening repeatedly. Why would you have to reinvent the wheel? Yes or no? If it is something that you're setting up your shop for the first time, then it will happen in order. But something which is happening repeatedly, the order is already set. That's the point here. Prabhupada is saying. The state of being in the past life, in the past creation, simply manifested again. That's the point. And all this is done simply by His will. This is the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Person Godhead. And after creating different species of life, He has no connection with them. The creation takes place to accommodate the inclination of the various living entities, and so the Lord does not become involved. Which means, just like the landowner gives you the permission. The landowner gives you the permission. He has a big land and he tells you, कहाँ पे ठेला लगेगा, कहाँ सब्जी वाला बैठेगा, कहाँ चाय वाला बैठेगा, कहाँ पान वाला बैठेगा. He comes and gives you the place. 1, 2, 3, 4. किसकी जमीन है? जो जमीन का मालिक है, landowner. And he tells किसको कहाँ बैठाना है. Now he is not involved. Is he involved? That is how the creation is. Elements have been provided, creation has been provided, the knowledge has been provided. Brahmaji does everything. He runs his chai wala dukan. We are the chai customers. That's the reason we got him in this world. Similarly, different Brahma. One Brahma open chai ki dukan, other Brahma open vegetable dukan. In the creation of what? In the cosmic creation of the Lord. The Lord provides all the resources, everything. Now here in this case, the Lord also provides all the ingredients. He provides you supply. So everyday supply that comes for the, let's say, vegetable, for the fruit vendor, for the chai wala, of a kirani ki dukan, a grocery shop, everything is provided by the Lord. The truckload comes, the individual goes, take the ingredients, set up their shop, do their business, wind up the shop, go away. That is how the delegation happened. Text number 9. Nachamatani karmani nivadanti dhananjaya udasinvad asinam asaktam teshu karmashu. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these mental activities, seated as though neutral. Purport. One should not think in this connection the Supreme Personality Godhead has no engagement. In his spiritual world is always engaged. Atma Ramasya Tasyasi Prakrityana Samagamaha. He is always involved in his eternal blissful spiritual activities, but he has nothing to do with his material activities. Material activities are being carried on by his different potencies. The Lord is always neutral in the material activities of the created world. The neutrality is mentioned here with the word udasinvat. Although he has control over every minute detail of material activities, he is sitting as if neutral. The example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put in jail, someone is being awarded huge amount of wealth, but still he is neutral. He has nothing to do with all that gain and loss. Similarly, the Lord is always neutral, although he has his hand in every sphere of activity. In the Vedanta Sutra, Vaishamya Nirgrane, no, he is not situated in the dualities of this material world. He is transcendental to those dualities, nor is he attached to the creation and annihilation of this material world. The living entities take the different forms and the various species of life according to their past deeds, and the Lord does not interfere with them. Just like you have this property, as we talked about, where there is a fruit wala, there is a vegetable wala, kirana ki dukan, chai wala, or whatnot. So when the customer comes, the landowner does not dictate where the customer should go. The landowner does not dictate where the customer goes. The landowner has provided the land, has provided all the resources for all the shop. He's the one who has got the electricity connection, the water connection, everything. Let's say he's even got your shops built. In Injawadi, we have many such kind of cow gully here. Now, when the person comes, they enter the respective shop according to their own desires. Like that, the Lord is not involved. You getting the point? Simple. Hinjawadi folks should understand very quickly. You have been visiting lately many cow gullies for distributing Prabhupada books. This is what is like that. Okay, text number 10. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sachara charam hetunanena kanteya jagat viprarivartate. The material nature which is one of my energy. Maya adhyakshena. Adhyaksh. Maya. Under my control. Prakriti, material nature. Suvete sa characharam. Suvete means appears. Sa both means both. Chara acharam. Chara means which can move and which cannot move. Hetuna. Hetuna means cause. Anin means this. Kante. I am the cause of this creation. Jagat viparivartate. And under my instruction, this cosmic manifestation is working. The material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction of Son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from the activities of the material world, remains the Supreme Director. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Will. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Will and the background of this material manifestation. But the management is being conducted by the material nature. Krishna also states in Bhagavad Gita that of all living entities, different forms and species, I am the Father. The Father gives seeds to the womb of the mother for the child. And similarly, the Supreme Lord, by his mere glances, injects all the living entities into the wombs of material nature. And they come out in the different forms and species according to their last desires and activities. All these living entities, although born under the glance of the Supreme Lord, takes the different bodies according to their past deeds and desires. So the Lord is not directly attached to this material creation. He simply glances over the material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately. Because of the glances of material nature, there is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but it has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. The example is given in the Smriti. When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person. Yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordains. In summary, material nature without superintendence of the Supreme Personality Godhead cannot do anything, yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. So I've already given examples to explain this point. So these verses that we just read from 9.5 onward actually talks about the creation, particularly on one very important concept or principle of how Lord is present within every single atom, which means without His presence, nothing can function. Yet, He is not part of this creation. And examples that we discuss is just like Prabhupada gives an example of a judge. The High Court judge is not affected by the gain and the loss of the victim or of the culprit. Based on what is the karma, what individual have done, he has done good deed, he is awarded, done bad deed, he is punished. But the High Court judge or the judge is not affected. How does the creation and the Lord relates? I gave an example of a landowner who gives his land to different shopkeepers selling of different products. Chai wala, pan wala, phal wala, sabji wala, kirane wala, etc. etc. Now, in this case, the Lord not only provides the creation but also provides the resources, which means it is the landowner which provides the supplies also to all the shopkeepers. Now, when the living entity, which means when the customer enters this marketplace, that living entity is not dictated by the Lord or the landowner which shop to go. When the living entity enters into this world, according to his desires or past activity, he gets a different set of bodies. So when a living entity or a customer enters into the marketplace, goes onto the shop according to his desire. How does the creation manifestation happens in an order? It is not that it happens serially as the modern science talks about it. And we give an example of, let's say, panwala. He keeps a lot of things outside his shop. And when he has to wind it up, he wounds it up. And next morning when he comes, he opens the shop in the same order. It's not that he sets one thing, then he thinks what should be the next sequence. No. It's pre-decided, and that's how in repetition goes on. Because it is a repetitive thing, for example, just like the sun. It's not that every morning sun ponders, should I wake up from the east, north, south, west? Yes? This is what called as orderliness. The sun will rise from east only. This is called as orderliness. That's the point that's been discussed here. And now in the next section from 11th verse, after this little technical subject up to 10th verse, now there will be discussion about individuals who can and cannot understand this knowledge. And from now 11th verse will happen a very, very beautiful and important discussion, which we shall see tomorrow. Is almost the time for today. We'll pause here. So 9.10 you want to mark it, so we know which was to begin tomorrow. All right. Thank you all for joining in for this early morning Bhagavad Gita reading. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, jai, jai.